So here what we have is a hemispherical shell. So now we have a uniform hemispherical shell of radius r, and when I say shell, there is only a surface, there is nothing filled inside. So it has got a radius r, it's a hollow shell, and maybe I can take its mass to be m, but it doesn't really make a difference. But if I took its mass to be m, if its mass was m, then I can also define something called surface mass density sigma. Sigma will become m divided by the total surface area, which now is 2 pi r square. Now this is the place where you need to be careful, because a lot of students, they don't pay attention, they put 4 pi r square here. So this has to be m divided by 2 pi r square, if at all you are doing it this way with the help of mass. But then we will just assume some sigma and we'll keep working with that. And the question now is to find out the center of mass of this uniform hemispherical shell. Now, whenever we have to integrate on a hemispherical surface, or maybe a spherical surface, and it's a shell, it's not solid, then we can take ring elements. So what we do is we take ring elements in the following manner. Take some radius, let's take this radius that makes an angle theta with the horizontal diameter. Now by symmetry we already know that the center of mass of this entire hemispherical shell is going to lie on the y-axis, nowhere else, because y-axis is an axis of symmetry. So we are interested in that. Now to find out that, what we have done is we have taken a radius that makes an angle theta with the horizontal diameter, in this case the x-axis, and we increment that theta by a small amount, d theta. So what we get is two places where these two radii are going to intersect the hemispherical surface. Now the places where they intersect, we draw horizontals there. So like this is one line, and there will be another line slightly above it. And if you look at the shaded surface, if you look at the blue shaded surface, it will appear to be like a ring, a very thin ring. So this width of the ring will be minuscule, it will be very less, and the ring will be going completely around. So it will be going back and it will be coming here like this. The radius of this ring will be small r. It will not be equal to big R, which is the radius of the hemispherical surface. What will be the relation between small r and big R? Big R is this entire orange length, and I know that the angle here is theta, so that angle, orange angle over here, is also theta. So I can easily figure out what's the relation between small r and big R. I can say that small r is big R cos theta. So this is the first relation. Next, how much is the total width of this ring? The width of this ring is going to be r d theta. And so, can I find out the blue shaded area? Yes, I can do that. So the blue shaded area, dA, is going to be the total length of this ring, so that's 2 pi small r, times the width it has, so that is big R d theta. And after inserting the value of small r as big R cos theta, I'm going to get 2 pi big R square cos theta d theta. This is the small area. This is the blue shaded area. Now once I have this blue shaded area, I can find out its mass. So the blue shaded mass dm is going to be 2 pi r square sigma cos theta d theta. So once we have the mass of this blue ring, we know that we can repeat the same process for any ring if we keep on changing the value of theta. So as we change the value of theta from some lowest value, which I know is 0, to some highest value, I'm going to take into account all such rings. And my theta should only vary from 0 to 90. When theta is 0, I'm talking about a ring that is at the very base, the black colored ring, this one, that's the equatorial ring if you wish. And when theta is 90 degrees, I'm going to talk about a very small red colored ring at the top, that ring. And in fact, it will not be even that, it will be just a point if theta becomes 90. But the interesting point is the interesting thing here to note is, if this theta goes from 0 to 90 degrees, I'm going to take into account all such rings. So that helps me with that limits of integration here. But what do I integrate? I know now any arbitrary ring's mass. Now after finding out any arbitrary ring's mass, I need to find out its center of mass. Now for the blue ring that I have taken here, I know that the center of mass will be exactly at the center, that cross there. And I know that it will have only a y coordinate, and for the hemispherical surface also I am looking only for a y coordinate. So maybe y center of mass is exactly what I need. So for this blue colored ring, y center of mass is going to be big R sine theta. And then what can I do? Now I think it's only the boring integration work. So now I can say that the y center of mass of all such rings can be obtained by using this formula, integral y dm divided by integral dm, where I will have to use proper limits. And for the numerator, then I will have, the numerator becomes y is this guy r sine theta times dm is this guy 2 pi r square sigma cos theta d theta. So huge 2 pi r square sigma cos theta d theta, and I need to integrate all that. As theta varies from 0 for the black equatorial ring to 90 for the red polar ring, let us say, if you think of this as a hemispherical earth. So there is 0 to 90 degrees. And how do we integrate this? Pretty simple. You will first take the constants out. So 2 pi r cube sigma goes out. In fact, I will keep 2 inside. So what I want to keep inside is this 2, the sine theta and the cos theta, because 2 sine theta cos theta becomes sine 2 theta. And so what goes out is pi r cube sigma. So you will have pi r cube sigma into sine 2 theta d theta, and integral of that from 0 degrees to 90 degrees. And sine 2 theta is going to give you minus cos 2 theta divided by 2. So you will have minus pi r cube sigma divided by 2 cos 2 theta within limits 0 degrees to 90 degrees. And you will see that after applying limits, this bracket is going to give you a minus 2, because cos 180, which is minus 1, minus cos 0, which is 1. So minus 1 minus 1, and you will have minus 2 inside here. With this minus, that minus sign will go off. With the 2, this 2 will go off. So you will have pi r cube sigma. So you are going to get just pi r cube sigma. So this is the numerator. Now what about the denominator? When you look at the denominator, you will have to integrate that dm thing. So 2 pi r square sigma cos theta d theta, 2 pi r square sigma cos theta d theta, and the limits for theta will be the same, so 0 degrees to 90 degrees, and you can take the constants out. So 2 pi r square sigma goes out, and you will have cos theta d theta, so integral of that is sine theta, and the limits go from 0 degrees to 90 degrees. You are going to get 1, because it will be sine 90, which is 1, minus sine 0, which is 0, so gone. So the final result is only 2 pi r square sigma. And so therefore the y center of mass becomes pi r cube sigma. That was what the numerator was, we have found it here, and the denominator is 2 pi r square sigma, which will give you r by 2. So please keep in mind that the center of mass of a uniform hemispherical surface is exactly at halfway mark from the center to the surface. So it's at a distance r by 2 from the center. So r by 2 from the center towards the surface and along the axis of symmetry.